The Fenelon Place elevator, also known as the 4th Street elevator, is a Dubuque icon. It's the steepest funicular elevator in the world. Cool, right? But at one point, it wasn't the only funicular elevator in town. What happened to the other elevator? It's a story of scandal and danger, a bitter rivalry with a tragic end. It's part of Dubuque's great history, and it's one of the city's greatest mysteries. And it's further proof that there's something wrong with you if you don't choose Dubuque as your next family vacation. So let's jump in. Just a few blocks away from the 4th Street elevator are the remnants and a discreet memorial to the 11th Street elevator, which was demolished in 1929.
When the 4th Street elevator launched in 1884, it was an instant success, but it's basically at the southern tip of the city, with nothing available further north, so a group of savvy business owners formed the 11th Street Elevator Company and jumped on the bandwagon. But this bandwagon happened to run on cables and steam power.
While there certainly was a demand for a new elevator, several obstacles, both human and inanimate, threatened to derail the new elevator's development.
The construction of the 4th Street elevator was fairly straightforward. One single angular grade with only one stop. But for the 11th Street elevator, engineers needed to have an initial slope that would take the elevator over a retaining wall to the first stop at Grover Terrace, and then from there, a different angled slope was needed to get the elevator to the second and final stop at Highland Place. This was no easy task.
The topography certainly proved challenging, but it was the political landscape that was more difficult to overcome. The reality was, several prominent residents wanted the 11th Street elevator to go down before it even had the chance to go up.
Local filmmaker Basil Chigfry captures Dubuque's funicular drama perfectly in his feature film, Nightmare on 11th Street, a funicular elevator's untimely demise.
It's a tragic story filled with conflict. The initial attempts to stop the 11th Street elevator came in the form of lawsuits and injunctions. Some residents complained about the potential noise, fearing it would be as loud as Niagara Falls, so the court awarded $710 to each of the residents, a significant amount of money at that time. As a result, the company decided to construct the elevator out of wood instead of steel, but that wouldn't be the end of its legal issues. A restraining order was filed out of concern that passengers would be able to peer into the homes of residents along the route. The case was eventually dismissed. And while it was individual residents whose names were filed on all the legal paperwork, you'd have to be pretty naive to not think the 4th Street elevator was involved.
Despite all of the barriers and opposition, the 11th Street elevator was officially launched in 1888. Within 4 years, Dubuque suddenly had 2 funicular railways and one big rivalry.
Today, people are staunchly divided over Apple versus Android, Marvel versus DC, kombucha versus oat milk. But in the late 1800s in Dubuque, new tribes organized over whether or not you preferred the 4th Street or 11th Street elevator.
Suddenly, Catholics and Protestants found themselves on the same side, belittling and shunning other Protestants and Catholics who dared to choose the wrong set of tracks.
The tragic irony is that while these elevators were built to connect and unite Dubuque, they ended up creating devastating divisions.
At the end of the day, the two elevator companies had to make a profit, and while each promoted the amazing views they provided, the 11th Street elevator differentiated itself by charging 3 cents to go up, 2 cents to go down, while the 4th Street elevator charged a flat rate of 5 cents.
This turned out to provide a ton of fodder for the 4th Street elevator about how the 11th Street elevator was cheap and unsafe. Yo Mama jokes actually started in Dubuque in the late 19th century. Yo Mama is so cheap, she takes the 11th Street elevator.
Remember, Dubuque was still on the heels of the Civil War. The rancor and resentment between these two elevator factions reopened old wounds. It was a city divided, and on many occasions, families were divided. My own great-grandfather was disowned by his family when he chose to ride the 11th Street elevator.
As tensions rose, many feared that the slightest spark would ignite a second civil war.
In 1893, the 4th Street elevator burned down. What was the cause? Well, fire, of course. But who started it? Was it an accident? Or was the 11th Street elevator involved?
This innocent rivalry was starting to go off the rails.
While the 4th Street elevator dug through the ashes, the 11th Street elevator company thrived as it made the transition from steam to electrical power. But that was no match to the political power about to be wielded by its rival.
In the early 1890s, the 11th Street elevator was completely rebuilt using one continuous slope. But in order to accomplish this, they had to build a tunnel through that initial retaining wall. But then they had to build another retaining wall at Grover Terrace.
This was devastating. The city kept determining that the wall wasn't built to municipal specifications.
The 11th Street elevator was operating at a loss. The 4th Street elevator smelled blood.
The fighting and vitriol reached its peak after the turn of the century when two armed men wearing white handkerchiefs across their face entered the 11th Street elevator and stole $24 in cash. As they ran away, C.W. Daniels, the manager of the elevator, fired his gun into the air to alert the neighbors. The vandals thought they were being shot at, so they returned fire toward the station.
While no one was hurt, this was ultimately a death blow.
Suddenly, no one's mama wanted to ride the dangerous 11th Street elevator.
Within a few years, automobiles filled the streets of Dubuque, and the two elevators became more of a novelty. By 1927, the 4th Street elevator won the race to the top, and the 11th Street elevator was abandoned. In 1929, the elevator was demolished, but not forgotten.
Several decades later, a local teenager created an 11th Street elevator memorial for his Eagle Scout project. It gave the city a chance to say goodbye, but the memorial also gives all of us, citizen, tourist, child, adult, a chance to reflect on how funicular elevator rivalries can go terribly wrong when we resort to political and physical violence.
This is the Gettysburg of funicular elevator memorials. You have to see it. You will not be the same once you do.
You won't be the same after you visit Dubuque. And when you do come here, make sure you take a ride on the 4th Street elevator. And after that, travel a few blocks north to the 11th Street Elevator Memorial. No other city in the world has both of these. And that's because no other city in the world compares to Dubuque. So check it out. Turn me over.
What in tarnation, you little rapscallions? Get off this here funicular property!
I am so sorry. Why?
When the elevator rolled past the kitchen window, I saw them look in. I felt so violated. They saw everything. Everything!
There aren't curtains thick enough to block the penetrating glances of those evil men.
Someone has to stop those foozlers. That elevator will be as loud as Niagara Falls. Unless I file an injunction against the 11th Street Elevator Company.
This memorial is the Gettysburg of funicular. Is that funicular? Funicular,
yeah.
Funicular elevator memorials. Are there other funicular elevator memorials?
That's where it might be.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yo mama's so cheap, she takes the 11th Street elevator.
When the 4th Street elevator launched in 1884, it was an instant success. It was an instant success. It wasn't, brewing or anything.
To reflect on how funicular. Reflect on funicular something. On how funicular. A chance to reflect on how funicular. A chance to reflect on how funicular.
I wonder if it's either way. It's like, I get a little more animated for the first time,
Yeah.
or I get even more deadpan. Like, it's like, I'm just,
Tribal.
I play super straight at the end. Okay.
I mean, you're right. There's this humor to it, thinking like, you will not be the same. And it's like,
Right,
you're
you
the
will
same.
not be the same. Yeah, exactly. If my delivery is the same, and this is the crescendo, this is that culminating moment. Yeah.